Hi, today I will discuss how to write unit test case for Sling model. Now, test cases are mandatory part these days because you cannot deploy your code on Cloud Manager if you do not have 50% code coverage. So as till date, we have discussed Sling model. So let's discuss how to write unit test case for Sling model. So for demo, I will be using the same component what we use for Sling model related tutorials. So this for your information, this component has these fields, this text field and one multi-field, basically two multi-fields, and few parameters which basically calculated at the Sling model and return to Sightly. So basically this is the Sling model class what we cover or what we write unit test cases. It has different methods, public methods which return list and string. So it have a different kind of methods. We will discuss these in detail while showing you demo. So as we follow for all tutorials, what I'll do first, I will explain first the concept and give you a use case, then we'll see the same use case in demo. So you must understand how AEM work. Whenever you have a component, you drag and drop that component on a particular page and you author it. So a node is getting created over that page, right? If you see in CRXT repository, and all the dialog values, you can call it properties, are saved there. And then when the page load, the Sling model return those properties to Sightly, right? And your values are rendered over page. So here the resource is getting created. This resource is getting created over page, and this contain all the properties. Those properties are returned by Sling model to Sightly, and the page is properly rendered. So let me show you once how this is created. So that's my page. When you drag and drop this component, a node is getting created over page here, and all the properties values are saved in on node. If you have multi-field, so there is a different node getting created. I have already explained multi-field related stuff. You can see the previous videos. Okay, so that way this basically this whole resource is available, and these properties are returned back to Sightly, and this that page is rendered. So this is a happy path. But so while writing test case, so suppose this is the happy path, right, for AEM when you are running the things in AEM. When you write a test case, right, so for that test case, that resource should be available, right? This resource, what we talked about, right? This resource should be available to this test case because all the method of this Sling model get those values from this resource. But the problem over here is uh, the problem is this resource is not available, right? This resource is not available, right? Because here there are two different environment, because your test case is execute while build, right? At that time that AEM is not available, so that resource is not available. So if that resource is not available, means the properties are not available. How your Sling model methods get those values or return those values, right, while testing? Those should be available. For that, what we will do, so we completely remove this connection. So the same properties what we have on that component resource or the component, we create those properties in a JSON, right? Then using those APIs, there's few third-party APIs available. Using that APIs, we convert that JSON to a complete resource, right? Now this resource Now, this resource, we have created the same kind of resource for Sling model. Don't take my words literally. It's not exactly the same, means the properties are same. So if you have F name, you can put anything here, right? F name. It's not necessary that you should have same. So whatever is there, then you will going to test it here. Okay. So whatever the resource is here, we create a same kind of resource here, right? Using some third-party APIs. And then this resource is getting available to test case. So now it's a happy path. Now this test case have this component resource. Now this test case can execute. So you need to understand this stuff now. So why I'm writing, this, why I did this setup, because this section, whole AEM section is completely different, and this build section is completely different. There is a not interaction between these two environments. The upper environment is completely AEM environment, and lower environment is completely build environment. In build, we do not have any interaction with AEM. So for that, uh, we have to create, right? If we are writing test cases, and those will be testing the methods which are available in model, so those prerequisite resource should be available. So that's why we created this resource. You will understand this once I'll show you demo. So let's understand which API we will be using. So we will be using IOWSM testing mock. AEM, these APIs available for JUnit 5, and these are AEM specific APIs. So these are mostly used APIs for unit testing of writing Sling model. Then we will be using JUnit Mockito, ORG Mockito for JUnit 5, and then the JUnit 5. So consider the point here, we will be using JUnit 5, and all the annotations will be JUnit 5 specific. If you have already used JUnit 4, so you can see some different annotations, but whatever I will be writing here as per the JUnit 5. So what exactly we are going to cover? So there are kind of method which simply return the dialog values. This is the one scenario, and we will be writing for multi-field values. Then we will see how you can inject a current page, because the upper two scenarios pretty straightforward. You don't need to do anything, but the problem comes when you inject the current page or the resource inside your Sling model. So that scenario we have to cover. That will be a bit interesting. And then we will see, if you have interface but any method actually which is not there in interface, but the method is there in your Sling model in actual class, so how you can cover that. And I did not write here the another thing we can check, if once when you pass something from Sightly to Sling model, in that case how we can handle that case. Okay, so now let's see demo. Guys, this tutorial might be a bit long, but I just want to cover all the possible scenarios in a single tutorial, so that you don't you don't split these scenarios in multiple tutorials. So all the Sling model related tutorial what I think are important, I will cover all the scenarios in this tutorial. So this might be a bit long, so be with me. So guys, first you need to understand the structure, folder structure, which is important while writing unit test case. So when you have this core module, right, inside that core module, you will, under SRC, you will find two folders. One is main, this one is main, and one is test, right? Inside main, we have all the normal classes, and inside test folder, it has the same hierarchy what main has, but it has two subfolders. One is test, means Java, and one is resource. So all the resources what you will be writing, so you will be having same folder structure what you have in this Java for keeping normal Java classes. For you have same folder structure for keeping your test classes, and you will be having same folder structure for keeping resources. So what are those resources? I'll explain. Okay. First, you need to understand how you can generate test classes. So you can manually write test class. It's pretty straightforward. Or IDE itself provide an option to generate test classes and give you a skeleton, right? So whatever the IDE you are using, all the IDs have that option. You will find that option somewhere else if you're using IntelliJ or VS Code, and IDE in IntelliJ you can find somewhere else. So I'll talk about the IntelliJ. So just go here, click on the class name, and right click. You will find a generate. When you find a generate, there will be option called text. Guys, as per your configuration, as per your settings, you might get few more or less option in your IntelliJ. So just understand this. Just generate this. So it will ask you, first of all, you need to check what is your testing library. It should be JUnit 5. If you are already using, you might have JUnit 4 here, right? So just select JUnit 5. This is the test class. So it will add a test after your class name, whatever the Sling model name is, right? And then it will ask you whether you want to generate a setup or before method. So just generate a setup method. I'll show you why. You can generate a other method as well, but for now generate setup, and you can write later on, you can modify these methods manually as well. It's always. And here it will ask you which method you want to generate, means which test method you want to generate for these methods. So just generate all. So I have these much methods in my Sling model, okay, and I will explain each method one by one. So if there is a three methods of one kind, explain at once, so don't worry about it. So I select all and just click OK. So it will generate a test class with skeleton, means your methods, right? Skeleton methods with empty methods. And where it will generate, under test folder, it will have on the same hierarchy where your model has. Okay, so if you see here, it's the same way, it's on same hierarchy. This is inside IMPL, or this will also generate in IMPL. Okay, I'm discussing very basic stuff here because first time we are writing, unit test case, and few people might not aware about the basics of unit testing. So that's why I'm discussing the basic stuff. So now you have skeleton of your test class, right? So once you have a skeleton, now you have to add AEM specific libraries. So for that, you have a annotation called extension with. This is completely JUnit 5 specific annotation. This will allow you to register your own extensions, or in layman I would say, to allow you to use your own APIs. So don't take my words literally, just understand the concept here. So whatever the API you will be using, you can register those API with extend with. If you have already written these test cases with JUnit 4, there is a notation called run with for the same purpose, but JUnit 5 they have different. So what I will you cover here is AEM, it should be context, AEM context extension, right? The dot class. I will be using Mockito related annotations as well in this tutorial, so I'll add those as well. Okay, I'm done with. Now this I have to use AEM related APIs, right, which will give you the resource and all. So for that there is a called AEM context, right? Create a object of AEM context, and it should be private final, right? You won't be changing this at all time. So now in setup, let's understand what is the before each. So before each annotation, this method will execute before each method. There is another ways of writing these kind of test cases, JUnit specific. So you can write a method which execute once before all, but we are not going to cover JUnit related stuff. We are going to cover AEM specific JUnit test cases. Okay, so let's understand now. So this method means this whole method will execute every time before each method. Suppose this will execute before this, before this. So all methods before this will execute. Now how would I know like which Sling model will be used here? Because we wrote this unit test case, that fine, but which Sling model will be tested here? So okay, so there is a method add classes, add model for classes, right? Now you have to mention your Sling model, and what our Sling model is AEM author IMPL. Okay, now we have defined, okay, for this AEM context, this is our model, right? This model will be, we will be testing this model. Okay, now till you are done, but where that resource I talked about, right, where is that component? Because this get books first name will test, let me open that as well. This method get first name will test this first name here, right, this one. And this first name is the property which is set by dialog. So those resource should be available which contain that properties, right? What I discussed earlier. So for that, we have to create that resource first for the Sling model. Otherwise, how this unit test case will get those values, means how these methods will get those values. So for that, what you have to do, uh, this is pretty straightforward. So for that, as I have already discussed, you should have a JSON which contain all those properties, and from this JSON we will convert that JSON to resource. So how you should get that JSON? Either you can create one JSON by your own set, but there's a easy way. You can get it from AEM itself. Okay, just go to that page where it is. Okay, where is our component used? Okay, copy this path. The same thing we did for content Sling exporter, but don't confuse this with Sling exporter. That is completely different topic. Okay. Okay. So add this path till end, this node, component node, and then add infinity.json, right? This thing. If you remember in Sling exporter related, I show you this infinity give you all the properties of that whatever you save there at node, right? So you get this JSON, right? Whatever is saved, whatever is there at component node, you will get all that in the JSON format. Okay. So now what you will do, you go to the raw data or just copy whole JSON. Now copy whole JSON. So from this whole JSON, whatever we required, we will keep that those properties, or which are no use for us, we will remove those properties, or you can keep completely as it is same. Okay, so let's save this, copy this, and go to your IntelliJ and go to resource folder, right? What I said, and inside resource folder, you will have same hierarchy. Create here a file, whatever name JSON type of file. Okay. Now, what you can do, copy the whole JSON here, right? I'll just format it and I will remove the unnecessary properties. So I remove all the unnecessary properties and I only keeping the properties which are created by iDialog. This whole properties, right? These are the properties, and I save these properties uh, as a value of a key. Whatever the name you want, you can give it. Okay, so this is the structure. Okay, so now what we will do, so you understand, right, how we'll get this JSON. Now go here and load this JSON. So using this aem context.load.json, I load this JSON, this whole JSON, and this JSON will be available using this path. Means whenever you want to use this JSON, this whole JSON, what I created, you can use this path slash component, and when you use this till slash component, let me show you. So using slash component, this JSON would be available. You loaded this whole JSON. Okay, you loaded this whole JSON. Now till using this slash component, you come till JSON. You did not load anything, you come till JSON. Okay, so this. Now how we will convert this JSON to a resource? Okay, either we can create here in the setup method, or you can create in each method. Anyway, this method will also execute, or means every time this method will also execute, and this main method will also execute, means the method which we are going to test. So either way you can write. For simplicity, what I'll do, I'll create the resource in same method. Okay, next, in context.current resource. That means the current resource means the component. Okay, and what is that current resource? Slash component. This is the same thing what we, this, right? Let me show you. Whatever is there, this is the same thing here. Okay, that means we are using that path, means that till, by writing this, we went till JSON. Okay, now we went till JSON, but what we are going to load is author, right? Let's see here. Till JSON, we went till JSON by component, means till this JSON we came by this slash component, right? But from this component, if you want to load this thing, right, slash author, now means your current resource is this author. Okay, here, so by writing this, that means now my current resource is this author. This is my resource. Now this JSON is treated as a resource, mean current resource. As the resource or the component is available for Sling model, now this is available as a component for this test class. Why I'm explaining this to you? This is very important. This is the basic of these Sling model unit test cases. If you understand this, now you can write very easily. Okay. Now, if you remember, what was our interface? That was author. So create that author. Okay. Correct. Now, what you have to do? Now you got the current resource. Now you need that author, object or whatever the reference you can want to use. So what you will do? Author is equal to AEM current resource. Now I have current resource, right? AEM dot there should be request dot adapt to, and what we are adapting is author, right? Right. Now this resource we adapted to author, right? If you remember clearly, in Sling model, let me open it one more time for your better understanding. While writing Sling model, this was my interface, which I declare all the method, and this was my implementation class. The same way, now we got this author, right? Here, by declaring this, I declare author, and I got this author using AEM context dot request dot adapt to author. Now this method, this interface is available. Now, how you can test that? Now understand what this method was returning. I'm in Sling model now, not test case. So what this get first name was returning? First name. And what it was? So if you go here and whenever your on page your node was, there was a property called first name. And this was the property saved by dialog. So it was returning this property, right? In Sling model. Same way, now in your unit test case, what it will return, let me write here. Okay, let me call that method. So for that we will use assert equal. So what we will test, what is expected value? Let me write assert equal. There should be, okay, assert, okay, I used wrong. Assert equal. It has two values. One is expected, one is actual. So whatever the value you are expecting, you can write it the first parameter, right? Let me write E and actual. So whatever you are expecting value, that is the first parameter, and what is the actual value, that is the second parameter, right? So what we will do now, because this is a first, I'll show you in detail. So what, let me string. Okay, so you must understand here is, this is my expected value. So what is will my actual value? I'm calling author dot get first name. Now I'm calling that method of Sling model, right? And what it will return. So ideally, so this value from where this will return. Basically, this will return from this resource, right? This resource. Right. And we are testing here, okay, what we are expecting and what is coming. If it is equal, then the test case is pass, right? So let me open this parallel so that you can see it. So how it will happen? This method author dot get first name, it will get a value from this first name. So now you can handle whatever you define here in this. This is basically now your component resource for your unit test case, right? So if you expected AEM and this is coming from AEM, this value is also coming from AEM, that means your test case is pass, right? That means what you are assuming, this is my component and whatever I authored here, that is here, and the same thing I'm asserting here. So that way uh, you can write or you can test a method inside a Sling model. Now what we will cover, so they're kind of different, three kind of. One, uh, whatever the value you save through dialog, you can put those methods in one category. So I will quickly write those and I'll then explain. Okay, then how you can write for multi-field, which has this one field like this books, and for the multi-field which has multiple values. Okay, this. Then we will discuss other use cases. So first let's check how you can test that. So go to the test case, and I'm talking about IntelliJ IDE only. All the IDs have these testing options, right? So now let's stick to this IntelliJ. Right click on this and you will find a run this name of your test class. Just click it. It will start, means whatever your method are, it will start testing it. So now you see there's the 10 methods and all are passed, because for the rest of the things we did not write any assert. So now let's focus on only this, the first name, right? Whatever we write, okay, where is that? Okay, I wrote by mistake, I wrote whole this by inside books. Let's copy this. Let's actually cut this because we are testing first name. So let's put all these things in it, the first name. So let's save it and let's run one more time. Getbook has list. We will have a different use case for that. We'll discuss about that, right? One thing I want to discuss here, one point you will understand. Okay, get first name. So we'll focus on the get first name. It is pass, right? Everything is green. But if you want to intentionally fail it, how you will fail it? Just put, that your expected value is AEM and you are getting AEM also from that resource. Just put a wrong value here and save it and run more time. Okay, now this, if you see, it's a yellow and one test is failed, right? Just double click on this, so it will tell you, it will show you here, right? My expected value is AEM1, but the actual value what is coming from resource is AEM. That's why this test case is failed, right? So that way you can even check how you can what is the expected value and what is the actual value. You can pretty simply debug it. You do not need AEM like we debug AEM related stuff. It's not AEM because everything is IntelliJ. So you can pretty easily debug it. I'll show you later in some other method how you can debug it. So now the same way you can write for last name is professor, this, because this is exactly same. So let me quickly write that. So I have written for the first name, last name and is professor. These three are of same kind, right? Whatever I explained for the first name, and those are pass. Now let's understand how you can write for get books. If you check Sling model, in get books you are returning a list of string, right? So how you can test that? once you save the books, right, in resource node, how it will save in this format, books, and this is array. So what we will do here is, so the first is pretty straightforward. You got that resource and you return that interface. Now what you can test for this? So what exactly you can test to cover all these lines? So what you can cover, you can check the length of this list and the whatever is there inside that list. So these two scenarios you can test here. So what I'm going to cover here is, see, like assert equal. Now I'll not write in different line. I'll write everything in a single line. Okay, I'm saying 4, my expected value is 4, and my value is, expected value is, what I'll write, author dot get books. Right now, using get books, I got the list. But what I'm saying, okay, my list has 4 items, length is 4. So what I'll do now, this till author dot get books is my list. Now the size, right? So what I'm saying, okay, whatever I'm returning from their list, it has a size 4. That means the list is calculated, right? Why 4? I kept 4 here in books. If you add 5, so the length would be 5, right? So one test use case is covered. Now, if you want to check what is there inside, so that whole lines are covered. So what I'll do, assert equal again. Let's check what is there at the first. So what I'll do, okay, let's, my expected value is Java, okay, and okay, this is capital letter, so it will check exactly. And what I can check is author dot get books dot get, right? Get what is there at my 0th index. Okay, at my 0th index there is a Java, right? If you check, this is my 0 index, it is Java. So now you have checked, first you have checked the length, and you have checked once this what is there at 0 place. That means you have covered this if block, means if it is not null. Okay, so let me save it and let's test it. Let's run this test again. That is pass. So let's confirm whether this is all really running or not. Let's give 3 here. Expected value is 3, and save it and just run it again. It should fail now because actually their size is 4, but I'm defining expected is 3. So I did, okay, it's failed now, right? If I click here, it is simply said expected is 3, but actually it's 4. That means our test case is running properly. Okay, let me save it. Now, one more point before I explain for other methods. Let me show you one more thing. This is important. Now, what you can do, right click and run this author MPL with coverage. So what is this coverage? It will tell you how many lines are covered of your whole, how many classes, methods, and lines are covered for whole package. Then we'll see only for our class. Okay, let's run it. It will take a few seconds. Right, it's done. Now if you see here, this side, right hand side, let me zoom it give you the coverage of whole package, not class. If you double click on this, now it will be available as per your class, right? Whatever Sling model basically. So this is our Sling model. Just double click on this, right, and just remove it. Whatever the lines are covered, right, let me show you. Whatever lines are covered, those will be visible in green. That means this method is covered, this method is covered. Okay, so what it is saying, get books, okay, the if block is covered but my else block is not covered. That means this section will be never tested, this line will never test it. If my list is empty, this scenario is never tested by the test case. I'm only testing this if block because I'm testing the length, and if length is more than 0, what is at my at particular index, what is the value. But what if my list is empty, and user did not put anything inside that. So how will you test that? So first, you need to understand you can write any number of the methods in test class. It's not necessary if it is a book you should have only book, right? You can have any number of method with any name, whatever the name is. The basic idea is all the lines of your code should be covered, right? So as part of this method, we have covered if condition. But what if I want to check else condition, right? How will I check the else condition? So for that, okay, from this resource, what I'm expecting, okay, if this is my component, in that case, the book is there. Means author put some value for that multi-field. But I need a resource or the component where I book should not be there. Then only I can test, right? My list is empty. So for that, what I'll do, I'll create one more resource, means a component without this. Okay, let me right here. You can simply copy this and remove get book. Let me show you. So if you see, I added a one more block with name author empty books, and I added this whole, right? The only difference is this resource does not have books. That means book is null. Okay, so you need to understand this is so in same JSON, same file, you can have multiple resources, means you can have the resource for multiple scenarios. So the upper part, this whole section, the upper part, this is a one component, and the later part I'm adding for the different scenario. Okay, so how will I test that the different section when the book is empty, means author did not add any books? Okay, so let's create one more method here. Test is our annotation, and the method name would be void get books with null. So what I said, get books with null, and now I'm loading a different resource. As I said, till component, we went till JSON. Now, rather than loading author, I'm loading author with empty. And now this is my current resource. Now, this is my current resource, this, not the upper one for this test case. That's why I said just load these things in a method rather than loading in a is common method, right? So what I'm doing now, the same way, that second line is exactly same. I'm getting author. Now what I'm testing, author dot get books dot size is 0 because that is null. So the books is not there. So that means now this line is also covered. So let's build and check again with the coverage so that you can understand this. Because you need to understand the point here is it's a line coverage. You have to cover each and every line. Okay, let's build it with coverage. That is successful, and if you see again, this line is also covered. So that way you can write for if else end condition. You can have a different resource for if else condition. So now you should understand the way how you can write for conditional, condition test case for conditional. Okay. Same way you can write for other multi-field which has more than one parameters, or you can say the more than one field. The same way I'm loading it. These two lines are simple. I'm loading the author resource. In the first line I'm checking whether the size is, you need to understand this. Okay, I'm loading this, and how many items it has, 1 and 2. So the size is 2, right? I'm saying the size is 2. And now what I'm checking, okay, the get book details with index 0. What is there in index 0 for publish year? What I'm checking, what is there for this, right? I'm saying, okay, it's expected is 2000 and it is coming as 2000. The same way I'm checking for the second value, right? So all the scenarios are covered with this line. So that way it's pretty straightforward. You understood the concept of while get book. So that way you can write for multi-field when you have more than one field. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Now let's understand when you inject a current page in your model, how you can write that, because the resource. But let's take a look of this method here. in my model. There should be somewhere the page title. Okay, this is the method of page title. It returning title of page. And what is that? It's current page. I should be injected somewhere current page. So now you are good with, right, whatever you saved from dialog, that's good. You created a resource and you just verified it from, you created a JSON, from JSON you created a resource and you verified it, you in Sling model or unit test case. But what if, how you can inject a current page inside this unit model, unit test case class? So for that, there is another thing you need to understand is AEM context. AEM context provide you number of methods, right? The whole idea would be same. Whatever you need to, check, and you need some resource, create a JSON, convert that JSON to resource, whatever the, it can be current resource or page or whatever it is, and then verify the properties, right? So now, as part of this method, page title, we need to check the page title of current page. So let's see how you can inject the page, current page, inside this test class. Okay, so for that, we need to create a JSON for page. So go till page and then again add the same thing, infinity.json, and copy this whole, this whole JSON, and we will keep only the fields which we actually required. It contains a lot of fields, but we don't need it. So let me create a page JSON. Let's go again and create a file page. You must have a question why I'm writing a separate. When I can add everything in a single file, because the page is pretty common. You will be using the page in other test cases also. So it's better to add separate in different file. Whatever I will be writing here, definitely you can write inside this JSON, but it's whatever the resources you will be using for others, just keep those separate. Okay, so let me copy from there. Okay, so this is my JSON, and I kept that JSON again the same way against a key called current page, whatever the key you can use, and I kept only those properties which are used for my test case. There's number of the properties. Okay, so now this, how you can load this resource as a page. Let's do that. So now I need to load that JSON. So it is exactly same. So I will load that JSON in the same way, and I give the destination path as a page. That means that JSON will be available at this path. But we need to load current page. So what I will do for that method, okay, the same way now I load this current page, means this whole. Okay, and now it's the same way I return this, and now what I'm doing is, what I'm saying is, actually now if you see here, it's not current resource, it's a current page, right? Because so what I'll check, okay, give me the current page title, right? So that means this resource is now loaded in context as a page, and uh, the get page title is, if you see here, whatever the title, the JCR title is returned if you use that get page title in node APIs or the page APIs. So what I'm saying, okay, this is my expected value. My expected value is author bio, and return, give me that page title. So this page title will return this value because this is the title of page, and it will pass, right, because the value is same. So main point is, you need to understand here, you are loading current page, and you have to have a JSON, and then JSON will be converted to page, right? It's converting to page, not resource. Okay, so let's check that. Let's build it, and again let's do it with the coverage. So if you see now, my coverage has been increased for my class. It's a 63%, means 7 methods has been covered, and 77% lines are covered. And if you check here the lines, this get page title is also covered now, right? It's a green. So let's understand rest of the methods. Okay, Now let's check this method, get request attribute. If you remember, this is the request attribute, and this attribute I passed from sitely with name R attribute, right? So now you need to understand the request attribute, how you can inject a request attribute. If you are not aware, let me show you sitely of that component. Okay, so this is my sitely, and if you remember, I passed this using this request attribute. So this is our attribute. I'm passing from sitely to Sling model. If you're not aware how it is happening and you did not see those previous tutorials, so please go back and have a look of tutorial number 10, 11, and 12. I clearly explain everything about Sling model. Okay, so how you can now, you need to understand how you can write a test case for this, how you can inject a request attribute. So there is a way of writing it. Now let's see how we can do that. Okay, so what I'm saying here is, okay, I need to set a request attribute inside my AEM context. So you need to understand everything, whatever you're testing should be with AEM context, and it is a request dot, there should be some set attribute, and what was the name of that attribute? R attribute, and you can give any value, whatever you want to test it. Okay, so you added that. I added a attribute called request attribute, and I give a value. This is in context, and same way I return this interface, and now I'm testing. Okay, what I'm expecting? Test attribute. And what is the attribute? Then you can call attribute dot get request attribute, whatever the method. So that means before testing, I'm intentionally setting that request attribute, right? So that's way you can test. So this is the one case, right? You need to understand this is something you won't find if you get this kind of scenario. So you set it manually before testing, and then you test it. Okay, so let me I'll run the code coverage again. Let me cover one more method. So this home page name, okay, what it is doing, let's check in Sling model what it is doing. Okay, so for as part of this method, what we are doing, we are injecting a resource, right? We are injecting not current resource, we are injecting some resource. If you check what is the resource page here, okay, I'm injecting a page as a resource, and then I'm checking the name of that resource as part of this. So what you have to do for that, you also have to inject a resource, right? Same way. So what I'll do, I create a resource, right? And then I will inject this. So you will understand why I'm creating a separate resource when we have this already author this. So because I'll create a common, so that in other Sling model, so if you require that resource means JSON or the object, you can use that. Okay, so let me write that. So if you check, I created exactly same whatever I created for page, just change the name. Why I created a separate? Because you can use somewhere else, but if you wanted to use, you could use this page as well as a resource. Okay, but let's take it separate so that you can in future you can use it. Okay, so now let's understand how will you inject that resource. So first you have to load this JSON, and then AEM context dot current resource. You are saying, okay, this is my current resource. Okay, so now what you are saying, I'll show you a different way. So what I'm doing is, because this is not the current resource, so I'm registering as a service. I'm registering as a service, and what is the service? That my Sling model is. Okay, once I registered that I'm saying, okay, for that my Sling model, my resource page is this resource. Let me show you. What I'm saying is, my resource page is this my resource page is this resource whatever I created. And what was the resource page? If you go here, this was my resource. So I'm creating an object as a service of this author AMPL, and then saying, okay, my current resource is this what I created, this here, this now. And now I'm checking, okay, this IMPL means this. this dot home page name. Okay, what is the home page name? Whatever it will return is resource page, because this means whatever the resource is, whatever the node name is, your your method get name will return, right? So this is returning this, right? If you check here, I did not use interface here, so that is the another way of doing it. I just wanted to show you a different way, right? So you can consider one here. Okay, now you injected as a resource, you created as a resource, and then you registered your model as a service, and then you verified. So this is the one more way of doing it, where this your interface is not involved. Why I showed you, there is a one more use case. If you check here, there is a method, author name. Okay, this is my method. This basically is, this method is not inherited or implemented, or this method is not available in interface. So you need to understand one more use case here. If you have a method which only exists in Sling model class, right? If you have some intermediate methods and you are doing some processing using those methods, but those not the method which expose your content or data to interface. So how you can write those, because you need to cover those as well. So you cannot cover those using interface, because this method is not available in interface. If you use this interface, that means that interface dot, it will not show you that method. Okay, you understood? So let's understand how you can write this. So because that method does not return any value or any saved value, so what you can do, you simply register at a service and register your implementation class, and then give author name. So because this method is returning a static value, and you can compare with the same, right? Ideally, any method which is not exposed using interface, you should not have in Sling model. But let's consider you have an old Sling model written, and now later on you are writing unit test cases now, because that's the pretty genuine case now. So for that, you cannot update your Sling model code. So if you want to write that for those kind of methods, you can write in it this way. Basically, this register services for registering your services. When we will be writing unit test cases for services and then schedulers and all, then I'll show you what exactly the purpose of this. Okay, so now this is covered. So now we have covered all the scenarios, all the use cases. There's the one left. Okay, get last. This is straightforward, right? You are getting this value from node or the resource, so you can write this by your own. Okay, so that's way you can write unit test cases for Sling model. Now let's run this with coverage. Okay, all 11 methods are passed, and let's see what is the coverage now. Okay, so we have covered 88% of lines and 90% of methods. Yani, okay, one method is left. Okay, that get last modified is left. You can write that method by your own. Okay, so now let's open it and let's check what is remaining. So we have covered everything. It's a green, 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 and this is left. You can write it by your own. It's pretty straightforward, as I explained the first three methods. And okay, is logging part is remaining. So this is pretty common everywhere. We will be writing log, so I will cover this in later tutorials, because this tutorial has already pretty long. So I hope you understood. This tutorial is a bit long, but that was required because I wanted to cover everything in a single tutorial. I hope you understood. If you have any question, please do comment, and please subscribe and like. Thank you very much.